Breaking fuck the news. Donald Trump's on another world tour. First it was in the Middle East, now he's on a tour in Asia. Right now, currently, as we speak, he is either meeting or has met already with the Japanese emperor. The Japanese emperor told the media in Japan if they shout in the presence of the emperor, meaning if they shout shit at Donald Trump and he's in the presence of the emperor, it is assault. They had to warn their people to not yell anything while the emperor is present because it could be considered assault. Not only that, there's mass demonstrations of anti-Trump protests in South Korea when he gets there. So there's that. I'll keep you updated with more.
Breaking news. Donald Trump's health is not doing well. He was slurring his speech today while talking about AOC and Jasmine Crockett, how they should take a cognitive test like Trump did at Walter Reed Hospital. Take a look at this clip.
They have Jasmine Crockett, a low IQ person. They have AOC's low IQ. You give her an IQ test, have her pass like the exams that I decided to take when I was at Walter Reed. Those are very hard, they're really aptitude tests, I guess, in a certain way, but they're cognitive tests. Let AOC go against Trump. Let Jasmine go against Trump. I don't think Jasmine, the first couple of questions are easy. A tiger, an elephant, a giraffe, When you get up to about 5 or 6, and then when you get up to 10 and 20 and 25, they couldn't come close to answering any of those questions.
And there you have it. Does that look like a man who is in perfect health? Does that look like a man who is sharp mentally? I doubt it. And by the way, Donald Trump also talked today about wanting to do a third term. He's agreeing with Steve Bannon, one of his closest advisors, that they may try to find a way for him to do a third term. They're not joking about this. And while I personally don't believe Donald Trump is going to make it to a third term, there's a good chance that this administration is having conversations every single day about how they're going to hold on to power for as long as they want and never give it back.
I should not be surprised at this point, but I'm always surprised by President Derp Derp and the things that he says and doesn't realize what he's saying. So he's on his way to South Asia, and there are some reporters that are asking him some questions, and he's giving away more than he thinks that he's giving away. Like, they ask him if he had an MRI done when he had his exam the other day.
I did. I got an MRI. It was perfect. Yep. I mean, I gave you the full results. We had an MRI, and in the machine, the whole thing, and it was perfect. Yeah.
Okay, you don't have an MRI done unless the doctor suspects that there is something that is wrong and needs to be looked at. And there's no such thing as a perfect MRI. Now, it is possible that they had the MRI because they were concerned about something and it turned out to be nothing, but that doesn't make it a perfect MRI. Then he goes on to be misogynistic and racist for no apparent reason whatsoever.
They have Jasmine Crockett, a low IQ person. They have AOC's low IQ. You give her an IQ test, have her pass like the exams that I decided to take when I was at Walter Reed. Those are very hard, they're really aptitude tests, I guess, in a certain way, but they're cognitive tests. Let AOC go against Trump. Let Jasmine go against Trump. I don't think Jasmine, the first couple of questions are easy. A tiger, an elephant, a giraffe, When you get up to about 5 or 6, and then when you get up to 10 and 20 and 25, they couldn't come close to answering any of those questions.
The irony here of him saying that AOC and Jasmine Crockett are low IQ people while he tries to explain that he took an IQ test that he wants to see them take, which was not even an IQ test. It was a test to check for cognitive decline, not an IQ. So he thinks that he's President Genius Boy because he was able to identify an elephant and a giraffe, and he doesn't think that AOC and Jasmine Crockett can do that. At this point, I don't know if it's cognitive decline or just plain idiocracy like he's always displayed. All I can definitively say is that history is going to look back at this period in America and say, what happened to them? Did America get dropped on its head? If this country survives this presidency, it's going to be a miracle, and that's coming from an atheist.
All right, well, here's what's happening in U.S. politics today. It's Monday, October 27th, so it's the 27th day of the shutdown, and things are just kind of a mess. The Senate's finally back in session, but they still haven't made a deal. So if they don't figure it out this week, it's officially the longest shutdown in U.S. history. So that's fun. Meanwhile, the president's over in Japan kicking off an Asia trip with a big ceremony, handshakes, and smiles, meeting Japan's new prime minister. They're talking trade, security, and a little bit of how do we not let China run the show? Speaking of tensions, the U.S. just ramped up its military presence near Venezuela. A whole carrier group got moved closer to the regions, and lawmakers in the U.S. are like, what's the plan here? Venezuela's government is pissed, obviously, calling it an act of aggression. Then back home, the Department of Justice announced it's sending federal election monitors to counties in California and New Jersey ahead of next week's voting. They say it's routine, but state Democrats are like, sure. So we'll see where that goes. And because apparently the week needed just one more headline, the White House East Wing demolition is still causing chaos. The crews already started tearing down part of it to build a new presidential ballroom. But preservation groups are furious because it wasn't fully approved. So between the shutdown, the overseas trip, the military buildup, election monitors, and a ballroom that literally nobody asked for, just another Monday in American politics.
Donald Trump's arrival to Japan was an absolute disaster. He had an utter meltdown in the plane ride from Malaysia to Japan. He talked about getting an MRI that was the best MRI ever during his last doctor visit. And we told you that the advanced imaging reference in the medical reports was likely an MRI, but he says it's the best MRI ever. And then he talks about how at that last doctor visit, he also took another dementia test. He says a cognitive exam where he said it was very difficult. He had to list a tiger, elephant, and giraffe. And he said that he thinks that AOC would likely not be able to take that exam. It got weirder after that, if you could imagine. He goes on to talk about how the United States successfully interfered in the Argentinian election. He talked about how he's not going to watch the World Series because of Pete Rose, and Pete Rose has been treated so unfairly. That's why he's not watching the World Series. Let me just show you what went down with receipts. And then when he landed in Japan and he met the emperor, he started like touching the emperor, like emperor's back, and he kept on touching him, which is very weird. It's against all protocol. And then the emperor made a response to Donald Trump that I don't think Trump liked. Trump was trying to take credit for resolving 8 or 9 wars, which Trump didn't do. And then the emperor's response was, oh, there's a lot of conflict still going on in the world, Mr. Trump. And it was not the applause that I think Trump was looking for. So let's just go through with the receipts. Here, Donald Trump on Air Force One talks about getting an MRI. He says it was the best MRI at his last doctor visit, the most perfect MRI anybody's ever had, he says. Here, play this clip.
Did you read out Walter Reed mentioned advanced medical imaging? Did you get an MRI? Can you tell us what that was?
I did. I got an MRI. It was perfect. Yeah. I mean, I gave you the full results. We had an MRI, and in the machine, the whole thing, and it was perfect. Yeah.
Did you say what in particular?
You could ask the doctors. In fact, we have doctors traveling with us, but I think they gave you a very conclusive. Nobody has ever given you reports like I give you. And if I didn't think it was going to be good, either I would let you know negatively, I wouldn't run, I'd do something, but the doctor said some of the best reports for the age, some of the best reports they've ever seen.
So naturally the question is, why would you get the MRI? Like, we're not stupid. We know that people don't get MRIs on routine doctor visits.
Social about the Canada tariffs. Can you walk through when you expect those to take effect? And can I ask why?
We're gonna let them know. Ronald Reagan loved tariffs. He used them.
You sure about
sparingly, which he probably would make a mistake. He made a mistake in that. And again, I was the biggest fan of Ronald Reagan, but on finance, on trade, it wasn't his strong suit. But he liked tariffs, and they totally changed that to say that he didn't, because they're catering to the Supreme Court.
You know, Donald, the great thing about being an American, being free, is that we have the internet, Donald, and we know exactly how Ronald Reagan felt about tariffs. Roll that clip.
And historians argue that high tariff legislation passed back in that period, called the Smoot-Hawley Tariff, greatly deepened the Depression and prevented economic recovery. You see, at first, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is First, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative man.
As you can see there, Donald, your boy Reagan did not like tariffs. So I don't understand why you want to keep lying. I understand that the fact that you want it to fit your narrative because the Trumpers, I guess they don't know how to work the internet and watch this guy talk. Reagan was not in favor of tariffs. You can clearly, there's many, many times and many, many different clips of him talking about it. The man did not support tariffs. You know it. Your cabinet knows it, but you're such a weak man that you can't admit it, Donald. Donald, you are a weak man. And Canada was right to put out that video, and Canada didn't do anything wrong with that video. You're a weak man for adding that 10% because you just want to strong-arm people. Education is great, Donald. When people know the truth, you become smaller than you already are. Moderate out.
Wants plan or with the changes to beef purchases, depending on the result.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We're going to take care. Look, we're going to take care of our ranchers one way. That we have two situations. The ranchers for 35 years have done very poorly. The cattle people, they've done very, very poorly, and now they're doing well, but the price is up. So what I can see happening is we're going to take some beef because I have to get the price down. I want to get most prices are down. If you look at energy and all the, I have things down, but beef is high, and the cattle ranchers are doing good. They backed me from day one. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that they don't get hurt. But we have to also make sure that I get the prices down. I want to get the prices down like I did with eggs, like I did with lots of others. We had a couple of them where, when I first took over, eggs were double and quadruple what they were. That was Biden's fault. A lot of this is Biden's fault, too. And we're going to get the price of beef down.
All right, so what he's saying there is that he's going to get the price of beef down by importing it from other countries. How is that America first? Instead of figuring out a way that we can get beef down by, I don't know, making more at home, he's instead just going to import it. And that's going to actually hurt our farmers. And what he's probably going to do is what he's done before, which is just going to throw money at them from the government, which is socialism. And I guess that's totally fine. Now, Donald Trump was also asked about this third term. I'm going to tell you why I hate this, but first a clip.
Certain Steve Bannon said in a recent interview that they're putting plans for you to be able to run and potentially win a third term in 2028. Is that something you'd be willing to challenge the board to be?
Well, I haven't really thought about it. We have some very good people, as you know. But I have the best poll numbers I've ever had.
Not true. Not true. Donald Trump's at like 35%.
And I just solved 8 wars and a 9th is coming. I believe Russia, Ukraine will happen. But we just did, we just left. And when you look at the treaty we just did, that was a war. That was thousands of people were already shot at the border. And when you look at what we just did, it was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. We got a lot of good credit. And I really have to thank Malaysia for that because they really, the Prime Minister and everybody really helped.
All right, well, I guess he just goes on there to talk about things that aren't true. But he did say here that I really haven't thought about it, which we know is not true. We know that's probably all he thinks about is how he can stay in power longer. And he was said that he said, I'd love to do it at the best poll numbers ever. And then look at what he said.
Very good people.
They are good people.
You said that for 2028, they're very good people.
Well, we have great people. Well, I don't have to get into that, but we have one of them standing right here. We have JD, obviously. The vice president is great. I think Marco's great. I think, I'm not sure if anybody would run against us. I think if they ever formed a group, it would be unstoppable. I really do. I believe that. I would love to do it. I have my best numbers ever. It's very terrible. I have my best numbers. If you read it, am I not ruling it out? I mean, you'll have to tell me. All I can tell you is that we have a great group of people, which they don't. They have Jasmine Crockett, a low IQ person. They have AOC's low IQ. You give her an IQ test. Have her pass like the exams that I decided to take when I was at Walter Reed. That was a very hard. They're really aptitude tests, I guess, in a certain way, but they're cognitive tests. Let AOC go against Trump. Let Jasmine go against Trump. I don't think Jasmine, the first couple of questions are easy. A tiger, an elephant, a giraffe,
Well, looks like this no November EBT, it's having an effect on people they didn't think it was going to have an effect on. Or should I say people who thought it wasn't going to have an effect on them. Yeah. Because it's always been the trick of the white people to put the black face on the welfare recipients. Yeah, we are the welfare queens. even though the welfare system was set up and started in the 30s, in the 1930s. And who do you think received those benefits? Yeah, white America. And black people didn't even qualify to receive welfare. This started in the 30s. Do you know when black people were qualified enough to get welfare assistance? It was in the 60s, right before the Civil Rights Act. So for 30 years, white people were the only people receiving welfare benefits. And who's the welfare queen? And then when we do get them in the 60s, they have so many qualifications and standards and stuff that it wiped out a lot of people. Us. And then to come to find out, if you want to really know who is the recipient of welfare benefits, the numbers speak for themselves. The United States is 56% white. 56% white American. For the largest welfare recipients in the United States is 46% white. 46% of the welfare recipients are white. 26% is Hispanics. 23% is black Americans. And 8% is other races. Who's the welfare queens? Who is the majority sitting on welfare benefits? So who are the majority of people are going to have their ass handed to them when they cut these benefits out? See, there was a saying that said, be careful about that ditch you dig for me, because you may just be digging it for yourselves. And I think a lot of y'all have dug that ditch for yourselves. Yeah? Because, see, y'all believe the hype and the lies that it's black people that are on these welfare. Black people are spending our tax dollars in these grocery stores when they go pack their bags up with crab legs and shrimps and steakums and all. Yeah, you know they can't stay out of your business. So, you come up there with that cart. They all in your cart. And they can't wait to get home and tell everybody what they saw in your cart. And you sitting on food stamp benefits. But what they didn't do was look at that white woman cart, who are on food stamps also. You ain't look at her cart. Because, see, your face doesn't generate the attention that we get. So now, just for the record, okay? Knowledge is power. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Put some knowledge up here before you go opening your mouths. So, the numbers say, and for future references, the majority of the people in the United States are on food stamps or on welfare is 46% white America. So that means there are more white people on welfare assistance than there is African American people. As a matter of fact, there's 23% more as in more than white people than there are black people on welfare assistance. I just thought I would give you that information so you don't keep walking around here, running around here sounding stupid. Talking about stuff you're really not knowledgeable of. And then you go around here and say it with your full chest, and then people come out and say, and when they slap them numbers on you, y'all church mouths quiet. You want to put that peanut butter and butter toast back in your mouths and crunch and shut the hell up. Because you know not of what you speak. Black people have never been the recipients and the benefit of anything more than white people. Ever. Ever. That's the way this country was set up. That's the way this country was designed, for the white people to win out over everybody else. And for black people to lose to everybody else. Even when it came down to the DEI program, who do you think was in last position of benefiting from that? It was us. We were in 7th place. And there are 7 categories. We came in 7th. Listen to me. They set these programs up for you white people to benefit for. Then they lie and say the majority of the people on this list are black people because they know that's going to piss you off. And y'all will run to the poll and vote for them. Because you want them to cut down these programs that the black people are benefiting from, because that's what they're telling you. And the whole time they're lying, because the people that are benefiting from these programs, the most is white. That's why y'all won't wind up with your ass in a sling. Because you voted against what? Your own interests. Because you believe the lies that the white man are feeling y'all, that the black people is the root of all your problems. Even though we have no power, we cannot control one thing that affects your life, but we are y'all problem. Y'all keep having that bull crap fed in your head, and your stomachs are gonna go empty, and you're gonna be living out in the streets. Your business are gonna go belly up, and you're gonna be in more debt than you've ever imagined. And you know how y'all act when y'all get under stress. You know what y'all do. Because you are not equipped, you have never been prepped, you have never been groomed for hard times. When the black people, that's all we have been groomed on. We cut our teeth on hard times, but we also learn how to maneuver through them. We learn how to take care of ourselves. We learn how to make something out of nothing. And we learn how to laugh our way through. Something you guys are not equipped at all to deal with. But it's coming. And I'm seeing y'all spazzing out all over social media. I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. I think I'm going crazy. You're crying, you're snotting, because you've never had to struggle. Because the system was never meant for you to struggle. Only us. But what you thought, what you meant for our bad, God meant for our good, because it made us stronger. It made us more self-reliant. It made us more gritty. We knew we had to do more. So we prepped ourselves to be more. We couldn't afford to just lay back and just be average. We couldn't do that. But y'all could, and it made you soft. And it made you unprepared to deal when the real world hits. So that now, the real world is hitting, y'all not equipped. Good luck with that. But anyway, I just came to give y'all just a little bit of knowledge so you can stop running around here making a fool out of yourselves. Talking about black people are the queens, welfare queens. No, baby. First of all, it's rich white people on those contracts that the government gives. Those are the welfare queens. Then it's white America. The numbers say so. You can't outspeak the numbers. So sorry. The numbers does not correlate with your myth. Your myth. It does not jive with your unrealistic outlook. The numbers say different. So now that you know better, do better. Okay? Y'all have a great day. But before I get the hell out of here, I just got one question. 40% of the white people that's receiving welfare benefits. Is it great again yet? Asking for a friend.